Oh, hey, Jenny, how are you?
Hey, Katie, I'm doing fine. Kind of a busy day, but
Well, I'm excited because we're gearing up to have the conversation next week on July 26th about Palestine and your trip to Palestine. For everyone, if you're thinking about going, watch this and maybe we'll answer some of the questions. So tell us like what you were doing, what you were doing there.
yeah, sure. I've been involved in Palestine, learning about Palestine, going to Palestine for about a decade. And so I had the opportunity just recently in May to go back and was with an organization called Sabil, which in Arabic means the way. And it's a great organization. It's ecumenical. They do a ton of sort of human rights work there. So I was able to go, and they had a fantastic itinerary. We met with different folks there, some religious leaders, some human rights attorneys and activists, and really just to get a better sense of what's happening in the West Bank and Palestine, and then a little bit about what's happening in Gaza too. So yeah, it was intense, but good.
Yeah. And so, yeah, everyone watching, it's no secret that there's been a war between Israel and Gaza for the past almost 2 years. Is that
Yeah.
right? I think my dates are correct there. A year and a half, 2 years now. So you are, obviously Gaza is really, really dangerous to go into, but you were in the West Bank. And so we're going to learn more about kind of all of that, like kind of separate some of the fact from fiction. But it sounds like what you were doing was Palestinian liberation, pro-Palestinian things, like kind of learning to debunk maybe some of the information that we get especially in the United States. I don't know, am I on target on any of that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely on target for all of it. Part of what Sabeel does is to bring delegations of folks over for education, and then the idea is to go back to wherever they're from and talk about it. So yeah, part of it is to help us understand, the differences between Gaza and the West Bank, but also kind of, there's like this association of Palestinians with terrorists. And of course, that's not true, but it's often what we see in the headlines. And so, debunking the idea that any kind of criticism of the state of Israel is anti-Semitic inherently. And then, I want to talk about this. Of course, the majority of Palestinians are Muslim, but there is a minority of Christians there too. So we learned a lot more about their stories to share with others.
Great. And so we're going to be telling some of those stories. You're going to be telling some of those stories in our gathering. The gathering is called Stories from Palestine, Truth Telling a Sacred Resistance. So everyone, I think that kind of tells you where we're coming from and our perspective in this, but also we do want to separate some fact from fiction. And I'll be talking a little bit about how Israel has special status in the United States and why that's maybe not always a good thing. And how it skews some of our perspectives on viewing the conflict. And of course, I'm a Bible person, so I'm going to talk about a little bit about the Bible and Israel and the Bible through today. Really quick snapshots, right? So we really just want to give everyone an orientation. Neither you or I are experts on Israel or on Palestine, but you're someone who went and witnessed. Right. So that we're coming to you from kind of storytelling, and with the idea that everyone can have an impact, and just hearing is sometimes the impact we need to have, just hearing and listening. That's what we'll be doing. And I want to really emphasize to everyone that we're not going to be telling like gruesome stories, and like really some things are hard to hear, but we're not going to tell them in such a way that's hard to hear and then like be like, good luck. Right. We're going to be wrapping everyone in some practices to help ground ourselves and to really listen as spiritual beings. Well, maybe tell us why this is important for you now.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll just say, going back to your question about kind of how you got interested. When I went the first time in 2016, my life was absolutely transformed and changed by witnessing, to use your word, a great one, what was happening on the ground in Palestine, and just seeing how people were oppressed and not having opportunities, that their neighbors had. And so the privilege, of going back this last time, partly and unfortunately, was to see how things have deteriorated, even more.
Even more, yeah.
It's really the stories of people we met, and how hard their lives are, and learning more about why, and also how we as Americans, those of us who are citizens or not, and we pay taxes, actually supports, their oppression, So I think like all of those things really got to my heart, and so it's like Palestine is always with me, and this desire for just peace between Israel and Palestine, and it, especially right now, just keeps me going and working on that.
And how many times have you been?
So this was my third time. Yeah.
Okay, so 3 trips in 9 years to Palestine.
Yes.
So it's a pretty big investment of time and resources to be able to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, for our event on Saturday, I'll pull out the stole that actually Jenny gave me when I got ordained from Palestine. So it's one of my favorites. And of course, Jesus and the very first generation of Christians all lived in what is now Palestine and Israel. And anyone who has any kind of affiliation with Christianity, Judaism at all, right? This is like the kind of homeland we're talking about. We don't want to separate Israel from Palestine there, right? Because in the ancient world, they weren't quite so separated.
I guess the last thing I'll say is like, I'm looking forward also, to kind of think about some ways that we can all act, and including, like you said, listening, and because it can feel sort of paralyzing in the face of something so big. So there are ways that we can act, and I look forward to talking about those and thinking about them with folks.
Yeah, me too. We want to equip everyone to do that because it can feel so paralyzing just to look at the news and easier to turn it off. And sometimes that's a good choice, but we also want to equip you to be able to act, and that knowing that small actions actually do really add up. So we're going to be telling you ways that you can do that with your time, energy, prayers.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks. I'm looking forward to it.
Sure. Me too. Thanks.